Oh, no worries.
I'm getting there as fast as I can.
Oh, no, I just wanted to let you know that I'm sorry. I just want to let you know there's supposed to be a guy there that's supposed to come by. I think you're supposed to be there at 8:30 to pick up 3 file cabinets. He hasn't paid for them. They're $25 a piece. So if he happens to show up, they're you can just take him downstairs.
Okay,
And
boy,
take-
it's 8:30 now. I hope.
I just sent him a message and told him there wasn't anybody there yet. So
Okay, and Andrew's popped in, and I guess. See, are you not in until the afternoon? I forgot to
no,
check.
I have a presentation to do online. Matter of fact, I'm online trying to do the
Okay,
presentation because it was.
Goodbye. You gotta go.
All right, bye. Well.
Hi, Cindy.
Hey, Laura, how are you?
Oh, I can't hear you.
Oh, you can't hear me?
I forgot I muted my speakers.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, I can. I
Okay.
forgot I had muted my speakers. Is it
So-
just me?
It's just you. I haven't seen anybody else. We had 4 people registered and I've been hanging out for a little while, but I haven't seen anybody.
Okay.
So I thought
Huh.
I'd wait a few minutes and see if anybody popped on and
Okay. Yeah, you never know.
you don't. We have the same thing at the Kansas Nonprofit Chamber and it's intriguing. It's there's a higher number of people that don't participate if we're not charging, but we have people that
Right.
pay for workshops. I mean, they'll pay $150 for a workshop and not show up. I don't know if it's because
Huh.
it's not their money, because it's their organization's money. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
I don't really get it, but
And I think if it was for work or your organization, you'd feel even more like you had to show up to me.
especially if
But
they paid for it, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, and I know I I do a workshop for, or a presentation for SCORE a couple of times a year, generally on creating the nonprofit business plan. And I presented a couple of weeks ago, and they had like 50 people register, and I think there was 15 showed up. So you just
Oh, wow.
can't tell.
No, I think, I mean, I kind of think the culture seems to have changed on all of that. I mean, we used
Yes.
to value training maybe more than we do now. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But
Yeah. Well, and I think the other thing is, there's so many resources for training these days.
yeah,
So,
there are
but
a
I think
lot
this has
more
been
than there
great for
were.
the North Central Regional Planning Commission to do. I mean, I think it's, I, I don't know if you keep your ear on the news for anything related to Wichita, but Sedgwick County received I can't remember what the total amount was, $100 million or something like that for economic recovery. And they took letters of interest. Did you hear about that? They took letters of interest from small businesses and nonprofits to try to figure out how they could help them. And I had sent them information from the National Council of Nonprofits on ways to think about distributing those funds to make the biggest impact on nonprofit organizations. So there was about 800 organizations that submitted letters of interest with ideas for funding, and the county came out the end of last week, first of this week, with an email to all those organizations basically stating they're not going to fund any of those things. They're going to keep all the money for the county.
Oh, yeah.
That's what they're going to do with all their ARPA funds. So they started this thing called Recovery Connect. They did allocate $500,000 for this Recovery Connect project, which is supposed to be a community navigator and program. So helping people, businesses, individuals, nonprofits access resources to help them with economic recovery. Well, the Kansas Nonprofit Chamber is a partner in that. But the interesting thing is really all they're doing is referring people to resources. So they might refer people to the Kansas Nonprofit Chamber if they're a nonprofit organization and they need some help, but they're not going to pay us to provide training or any kind of help for these people. And WSU is offering free grant writing classes, and which is great. I mean, they could have paid us to do that because we do that anyways, but
right.
WSU was the leader in the grant, so they were going to pay WSU to provide free grant writing classes. But the intriguing thing about that is learning about grant writing is fantastic, but as a point for economic recovery, what we're going to do is we're going to educate people. The program is going to educate people about how to write grants. And so there's just going to be more people writing grants for the existing grants because there's not more money.
There's not more money.
So it's just going to make the grant cycle more competitive, and maybe different organizations will get funding, but it's not going to help overall with economic recovery.
No.
And so, yeah, I was on the phone with the paper called The Beacon yesterday, but we've been working on putting together an advocacy group, advocacy initiative at the Kansas Nonprofit Chamber to advocate for nonprofits across the state anyways, because what's happened over the past couple of years is a good example of why nonprofit organizations need to be able to advocate for themselves and need to know how to do that, as well as needing to stay on top of what's going on at the federal level, what's going on at the state level, what's going on with their local government, which impacts them as much as anything. And so many times they either don't have the resources, to follow along. They're so busy as it is, and they kind of need that information fed to them, and then they need to learn the importance of of advocating for themselves. And this is a perfect
Mhm.
example of why.
Yeah. And I'm surprised that that was the city of Wichita, not Sedgwick County, right?
That's just Sedgwick County. City of Wichita hasn't made decisions yet. I serve on the District 3 advisory board, and I expressed to my council rep, who I met with a few weeks ago, my concerns that the city do the right thing with the ARPA funding to really help those individuals, those small businesses, and those nonprofit organizations that need assistance with recovery.
Yeah.
I don't know what they'll do,
And-
but
Yeah, I mean, the feds kind of loosened up the regulations and they said they could use up to 10 million however they wanted, but then not the whole 100
yeah,
million.
right.
I mean, there's a limit up to 10 million. So up here, they can use all of their money
Yeah,
in the county, for whatever they need in the county, but they've actually, both counties, I do the ARPA money for Jewel and Republic County, and they're taking grants right now. So, but I don't think any nonprofits have applied, but a lot of them water districts and fire districts,
yes.
which need it too. But I am surprised that they did that for the whole county. I wonder if they had a big project come up or if they're going to do premium pay to all their employees.
No, so what they're doing is, one of the things they're doing is, because the county shut down services, they fell way behind in processing legal cases, criminal cases. So about a third of that is going for that.
Yeah.
It's like 32 million is going for that. I can't remember what the other things, but they were all internal services.
Internal. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and it's made it even tougher because we have the Kansas Health Foundation used to do grant cycles where they provided up to $25,000 for capacity building. And then they did another one for capacity building. I can't think of what the other one was for. Anyways, each of those grants, you could apply for one or the other organization could. And the capacity building was really good because it would allow some operations cost, or you wanted to add a person or whatever. Well, they've got well, now she's gone. She's only been there about 4 or 5 months, a new CEO, and she came in and restructured everything. So all of their funding that they're giving, they quit those, and the other funding that they're providing is all based on DEI initiatives. So if what you apply for, if it's not related specifically to DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, then you can't get funding. And then our United Way of the Plains came in and restructured, and these organizations they've been providing quite a bit of funding for a long time, they've cut a lot of their funding way back in order to be able to provide more funds for other initiatives. So those organizations have been impacted because suddenly they've taken a lot of cuts in their grant funding. And so, and our Wichita Community Foundation doesn't provide a lot of funding for nonprofits here overall. They're usually focused on what's like Greater Wichita Partnership and economic development, as opposed to funding the works that nonprofits basically do. So it's very intriguing here, and a reason why I continue to try to teach diversifying funding, because these organizations that are heavily reliant on grants, and we've had all this change, it's not good for them. And then trying to educate them that overall individuals give a lot more than what businesses or even foundations give. So
right. Yeah. And like you said, I mean, teaching people to write the grants isn't going to solve the problem because you still have the same pot of money. And that's what even Rick taught in one of our for-profit classes, that they shouldn't try to start a business with a grant. And one lady got really mad, but it's just true. I mean, you can't count on that to start,
No, you
especially to
can't.
start a business.
You can't. I see some interesting things with nonprofit startups about the perception of where they're going to get the funding, whether it's an angel investor. And I'm like, no, you're not going to get the money from an angel investor because they're looking for return on their investment.
Uh-huh.
You know, you're not going to go out and get a loan from a bank to start a nonprofit because they want you to be, I mean, you might get a loan eventually, but they want you to be established nonprofit organization. And you think there's a
Right.
lot of risk with starting a small business and making it be successful. There's a lot more risk with starting a nonprofit and having it be successful. So, and I talked to a lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
people that are working on startups about the pros and cons of for-profit versus nonprofit, because so many, they don't really understand the nonprofit model. They think, well, nonprofits can't make any profit. Well, that's not true. Or
No.
nonprofits are, you know, they think of the board, that's really hard to put together that board. And I said, well, you know, you have to think about, you've got that board that you wouldn't have if you were starting a small business, but they're also act as an advisory board. So you can get somebody to help you with your accounting and your marketing and your grant writing and those types of things. You don't necessarily have that when you start a small business. Certainly you can go to
No,
organizations like
that's true.
SCORE, SBDC, or other organizations, but
Mhm.
there's pros and cons to it all. So,
Yeah.
well, Laura, it doesn't look like anybody else is going to hop on. So
Nope.
I appreciate you hopping on, and
Oh, yeah.
I guess I think I have a presentation tomorrow. Maybe I think board rules and responsibilities in the morning. Oh, maybe that's tomorrow afternoon. I think that, let me
Okay.
see. I think
Was gonna say, I didn't
basic
have it on my calendar.
responsibilities and nonprofit board members and officers. That's that makeup one that I did for
Okay.
when I was traveling. So I've got a few people registered for that. So
Okay, good. Well,
well,
and go ahead and charge for this because you did all the work for it. So
okay, I appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
We're another struggling nonprofit trying to figure out, you know, how do we recover from the pandemic. So,
Right.
well, have a wonderful day.
All right. Thanks, Cindy.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hello. This is her. Yes. Okay. Very good. Thank you. Bye-bye.